And boom. Wow, isn't that pretty?
That's really pretty.
Cool. Now you go to me. Hey, welcome. What's up? This is episode 11 of not the Optimist Journal.
No.
This is the option, episode 11. But with me, I have the queen of the Optimist Journal. That's plural, right, Greg? Oh, Wendy Jones. What's good?
The Optimists Journal. And I love the title of your podcast.
Oh, my
it's
God.
awesome. I just came off the beach and I love the option. So
Oh, my
good
God.
thinking. It's
Yeah,
good
man.
stuff.
Good. Our first option is to talk about everything. It's
Yeah.
something where, I was just trying to mix volleyball guests with other people because there's a rumor that we have a life outside of the sport.
Yeah,
And the rumors are true.
for sure.
You know, Greg got the camera on you, baby. I pointed you for a sec. Greg Faulkner, that's my guest tech guy, filling in for Jeff Samuels and Miranda. Really bad light feed in here, but I guess that's something we'll fix. Whatever means the podcast anyway. It's all sound. So yeah, what have you been up to? Talk to me.
I just came back from Palm Springs this weekend. I spent the weekend with all of the girls I played volleyball with in high school. So to say that volleyball kind of carries you all the way through life, it's pretty amazing to see what people learn when they're young and what we carry through it. And not a one of them isn't, they're all doing amazing things and changing the world like one day at a time. So I get pretty inspired when I see athletes raising athletes. And, it's cool to hear the stories. A lot of them, they have their own stories of going through the recruiting process, and now their kids are going through the recruiting process and seeing where they're going to end up. So, all the NCAA stuff, all of it, it's all becoming real. So for the kids that we've been raising, so it's really fun to see.
Yeah, let me tell you something. I coached NCAA. Out of the 21 years I've been coaching volleyball, 15 have been in the NCAA, and like 12 as a head coach. And if there's anything I hate, it's just all these guys. I mean, all these goddamn rules. Just like you take a piss, they gotta know you're not allowed to be in this gym. You're talking to that person. Why are you talking to that person? You're not allowed. It's just these ridiculous rules that are designed to protect the students, and that's good because that's cruising right into our subject matter, right?
Sure.
And it's all these things are designed to protect the children. And at the end of the day, outside of volleyball, maybe we're talking about the big three or big four, the ones who profit from this alleged protection from exploitation are everybody else except the students.
True.
Like Longhorn has their own channel, right? They get paid. Those people get paid to talk about college sports. You know what I'm saying? The coaches get paid. The commentators get paid. The athletic director gets handsomely paid. The president of the school gets paid. Everyone gets paid except for the students.
Sure.
And go ahead. You were about to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I can take a devil's advocate position with you on this because I've been raising kids, and whenever I'm making a decision and raising athletes, that have talent and you can see have drive and are going somewhere, you want to see that character get built. So when you're developing and your brain is not fully developed yet, and you've got a lot coming at you, the people that are going to be in the position to receive this, pay to play or pay for play, they're going to be at the top of that, the most talented, right?
Yeah.
So we got to make sure that character has been trained into them before we have thrown, endorsements and money, because I think in some ways it jumps the gun.
Right.
You've got to keep training the way to do things. And if you throw too much at them too fast, you can that can really set you up badly in life. I don't care how much money you have.
Absolutely.
You can mess it up, and you can mess it up big. The more money, you can make bigger mistakes.
You really can. And with that being said, because we're playing devil's advocate, and this is a healthy debate because we feel two different ways about it, even though the common denominator, common denominator the same way.
Yeah.
For me, I would suggest one. For those of you listening, the NCAA and California is the first on board that gave people rights for their likeness. So for those of you reading Pay for Play, just a general education on this for everyone listening, it's not the NCAA paying you to play. They're not actually paying you to play your college sport. They are giving you permission to profit from your likeness, which if you delve more deep into the contracts and the rule changes, I guess we're the uneducated ones because it's still new. But I don't have a problem with someone who's 18 years or older. They're doing a video game, football video game. Wendy Jones is the quarterback. Sure. Cool, man. They get paid for the video game. I mean, the artist, the graphic artist gets paid for that. The consumers, or whatever. It would be nice to give you a little bit of change. And I also think it's my second point is I also think it's very, very intriguing that when it comes to saving our kids from themselves, we kind of cherry pick. How old are you to be allowed to serve in the United States Army? Anyone?
18.
We're guessing at least 18, right?
Yeah, 18.
Maybe your parents can sign you over sooner or whatever. I mean, maybe we get some of these chicken hawks to be like, yeah, can you sign your kid? Are you allowed to? Let's start with your own kids. How about that?
Yeah.
And I think the reason why I'm for it is because I think this is the one instance where we give the kids the benefit of the doubt. And if it doesn't work, then we revisit it and we reinvent new legislation that prevents them from being exploited by God knew who's out there who's trying to profit off of them.
Yeah.
I think the only difference then, before the rule and after the rule, the only difference is the person doesn't get paid. Because let's face it, legal or illegal,
it's happening.
It's happening.
Yeah.
They're profiting.
And now we have the rule. I mean, it's going to happen. So I guess that takes me back to my point of how do you train the character? And you're coming up, and that puts a huge onus on parents and coaches to be training athletes. I tell my kids this all the time. The more talent you have, the bigger the responsibility is on you to be a leader, to show up, you need to be bigger than, and then bring everybody up with you. Doesn't make you better.
I also think on another scale, it helps some of the smaller sports. I'll give you an example. Greg Faulkner, big time college player here, Smackfest guy. I mean, let me tell you something. For a singer, he's a hell of a volleyball player. So it's for me, it's one of those things where men's volleyball, NCAA volleyball, only offers 4.5 scholarships per program.
Yep.
And I don't know how you're going to be slicing up that kid, because do you go three full and 3 partial? You know what I'm saying? How's that going to work, Greg? You look like you got something to say.
So basically, it just depends on seniority for one. I mean, and then just how bad you want a certain kid. Like, you have a lot of these international players you have playing in college, and some of them need aid, some of them don't, and it just depends on who needs it the most, really. But I mean, just you have some people who get full tuition, which is they just get their actual school part covered for an extended amount of time, whatever your contract says. Where if you're going to be on the team for 4 to 5 years or so, then some people just get their books taken care of. Some people are on a partial, a 70%, 30%, whatever it is.
Right.
So it all just depends really on the ability of the player, the coaches, and what they can afford too.
Yep. Hey, Eric Anderson is like, did I just see Greg? I guess I did. you know Eric, right? Yeah, it's our Eric. Big up, man. We see you right here, man. We're jumping the gun a little bit. Jason Olive is probably going to come. I'm going to ask him to come either Wednesday or next Monday, where we can delve more into it, more college athletes. Yeah, he said student gets paid with the scholarship they receive. Amen. Preach.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
You're getting a free education. I totally agree. And that it should not be overlooked. That is a huge privilege. And also, just to know that reaching that level of athletics success, and it comes with hard work. I've seen my kids do it. And they really do have to take it on themselves. It's not coming from the parents when you get to a certain level, because you're going to top out. It has to be coming from the kid. And to get that point where you're getting a scholarship, full ride, or even partial, because if we're talking volleyball, I mean, for girls, they're more full ride,
more so than
not for the boys.
No.
And they're working their tails off, but then to get in there, it is a privilege, and I would hate to see for that to be overlooked, because I didn't grow up down here, I am constantly amazed by the coaching and the level that my kids get to
Right.
play. Yes, they have some talent, but the coaching that brings them to a whole nother level than the kids that I grew up with or know up north, for a sport that I love. But the talent and the opportunity down here is just, it's incredible. It's off the hook.
Yeah, and also the thing I like about it is that, all right, you have maybe 1% or whatever that get these scholarships out of these elite athletes, and then in the pros, 1% of that 1% or whatever. So for these people that get a free scholarship, they ain't got to worry about paying loans after they graduate. And also if they're allowed to profit from their likeness, this way they have entrepreneurial experience on a
True.
resume and saying, oh, I just got out of college, I'm entitled, hire me. So there's that comes into play too.
Yeah.
But here's something a lot of people aren't looking at. People that are playing Division II and Division III sports. Division III, you're not allowed any athletic scholarships. In
Right.
Division II, you're only allowed a partial for 2, or like a full for 2 or partial for 4. These are people who, they're media personalities or their social network personalities, where their skill set beyond athletics. They're a comedian, they're this and that. The NCAA say you can't make money from that while you're in season. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. So there are this doesn't just benefit these people who should feel privileged and should feel grateful that they got their full ride or their X percentile ride. This is great for Division III sports, and Greg and I know that with men's volleyball, because there's only 4.5 scholarships, D1, 2, and 3 really don't mean shit. Right? We got guys that graduate Springfield College that are playing in Europe, right? So, and if you look at adult nationals, like the second and first place team were all went to D3 schools.
Yeah.
Well, we cheated. We got a couple of international players as ringers, but I mean, Greg's like, something you left out. Because Greg's at nationals every year. I love watching your videos. You do a good job putting it up. He's not just my brother from another mother. I am a fan. So that was just something else I wanted to just add in there. It's just what they're trying to do. Maybe they're using their likeness athletically, but maybe they have a skill set that has nothing to do with athleticism, with the NCAA's butting into their out of whatever business. What about, I mean...
And the entrepreneurial age is getting younger and younger. I mean, the way that social media works now, and, hopefully we're somehow creating more creative minds out of this, because the entrepreneurial spirit starts young, and I would not want to see that get punished.
No.
And if you're putting in the hustle, you should be able to. I'm American.
This generation after the millennials are freaking savages.
Yeah.
True, Doppler.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. Starting her own business. She's 16?
Really?
17 years old. She's an arrowhead. She took time away from volleyball because I'm not sure what, and I'm trying to air her laundry, even though kids, wherever you are, you're not on Facebook anyway. You're on some other social networks than Facebook.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, look, Greg's on Facebook because he's an old soul, and that man has friends 18 to 80. So that's what you get for being who you are. You too, right? Both of us.
Yeah.
So
I wrote a blog post about being on the same. This was not last year. This was not this past year, but this summer before. Within 3 days, I was at 6-man having the time of my life, and went up to Santa Cruz and was at 100-year-olds happy hour. Like, guy hosting the happy hour was 100 years old, and I wrote about it because it's amazing to cross all those generations and see what you learn and what you pick up from,
Oh, God.
It's good stuff.
Would you like to be at a party like that?
Yeah.
It's like, dude's probably down in freaking bourbon or vodka, and they're like, dude, you're like 100 years old. And he's like, this is how I want to go. If I'm wrong.
He's 102. He's 102 today, and his ship landed at on D-Day, the day after D-Day. Wow. at Normandy.
That man was meant to live.
Yeah. It's like, there's some good stories out there.
Jesus, that's some Private Ryan stuff right there, when Tom Hanks was like, earn this. Yeah. Earn this. He's like, dude, I'm 102 years old. I've done a bunch of stuff. So, but we can, as we continue to go, one more thing about just college and paying for it in NCAA. My own personal experience, after the military, I went to Hunter College for a cup of coffee. City University. You know, the Army covers most, if not all of that. After playing professionally a little bit, I decided to go back to school. But unfortunately, your military benefits expire 10 years after whatever.
Okay, after your
so
service.
basically,
Yeah.
my freshman year, I knew I had 1 year left. So I went to spring, I went to summer school, I went to fall. I just tried to use as much as I could. By the time my senior year came, I only needed like 6 credits a semester to graduate. But I think the point I was trying to make was someone like me, who put himself through school. I had a full-time job in cardiology. I was a 4.0, like my first 45 credits. So the school kicked me a little bit of money just for, because they try to kick money for people who are academically serious, and I was as serious as a heart attack. So yeah, it is a privilege. Yeah, it is a privilege because right now, I mean, I thought it was a lot of money back then because at the time I came back, that's when tuition started just leaving. Tuition's actually passed inflation. Yeah. Right? No, never mind the minimum wage, and never mind like a workable, a livable wage. Tuition passed inflation.
Yeah. And
you gotta have a $250,000 to graduate right now. Decent school.
And you know who's getting pushed out of that is the middle class. The people that are going to benefit, that they make enough money, but when you're talking about $250,000, like you need to save that. You're saving that over a lifetime, or you're in trouble, and you're graduating with those student loans. And if there's a way to combat that, because an athlete's not working a lot of hours.
No,
right?
the two people that worry the least are the really rich or the really broke.
Right.
And the middle class, but there's a class between the broke and the middle class where they make. I think you were just alluding to making just enough money to be broke. Yeah.
To not qualify for grants and
Greg's like, just enough to be broke. Yep, I know that. In one pocket, out the other. It is something that I'm glad you gave that its due attention because. What and I came back at you with D2 and D3. Like NYU is D3.
Okay. My daughter wants to
and
go
it costs more money to go to NYU than Harvard.
Yeah.
Okay. Kelly went to Harvard, and Kelly's like, I'm telling you, it's more money to go to NYU than Harvard right now.
That's where my third child wants to go, so I better start singing.
Yeah, you better start being in some high school plays. Start singing Seasons of Love from Rent.
That's what she wants
to sing that tonight.
That's what she wants to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good, because Tisch School of the Arts is where it's at.
That's where she wants to go.
Don't worry. Hey, look for the money because it's there. The biggest lie is, we don't have the money. No, they have plenty of money to offer partial or some full academic rides or whatever. Yeah. Trust me, I know because I went to Marymount Manhattan.
Okay.
And at the time they were ranked number 2 in the country, and they pay attention to their draft picks.
Yeah.
I was their number 2 draft pick.
Okay.
So, returning adult student. So. Yeah, so I'm really glad we tackled that, and this is a subject matter that's far from over, and I'm hoping, I'm gonna have future guests and definitely have you on. Definitely have you on as a revolving guest. I speak for everybody. We just need more Wendy Jones in our life.
Thank you.
And this time I promised I'd let you speak more too. I remember the last time guys like, dude, let her talk. Hey, shut up. So all right, cool. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk to on tap. Who was your last guest on Optimist Journal?
The last interview I did was with a sleep expert. I'm pretty big on learning about sleep cycles and how important sleep is in our recovery process. Uh-huh. I'm wearing an Oura ring now. This thing is awesome. It tells you how recovered your body is. It works off your sleep, takes your resting heart rate. Your HRV.
Show that again.
So this is called an Oura ring. You can get it online. Yeah, it's better to play volleyball in. I don't like that strap thing around my wrist, like the Fitbit or whatever it's called. Oh. This is really cool, and it's giving me all kinds of good information. So, because I have a tendency to push myself a little hard, and the older I get, like you're not recovering, and then you go out and you're like, "Wow, God, why am I not either playing well or feeling good?" Well. It's because I'm not allowing myself to recover. Yeah. So it's helped me learn about that.
And you're a California native too, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. Yeah. So it's one. So I totally get where you're coming from in that respect.
Yeah.
Just sleep is a valuable thing, and I'm still airing out my significant other. I'm telling you, Steph, I do not. She lets me do whatever I want. I do not mess with that woman's sleep, man. Yeah. She values that. Yeah. More than anything.
And you got a 2-year-old, so hopefully she's getting it. But.
Oh no, she gets it.
Good.
She gets it. She par for the course. She sleeps like a baby.
Yeah.
For me as a New Yorker, I was dealing with weird sleep periods because I came here a night owl, and it's an early culture here.
Yeah.
Everybody sleeps
Yeah.
a little early and whatever, except one or two people I know who actually go ahead, you can put the camera on you. One or two people who
Yeah, you're not gonna. You don't see
Yeah.
me out when you're
No.
out. I'm a
But
morning person for sure.
But my challenge right now, and for everyone listening who's moved to California, is not born and raised here, might appreciate this the same way I do. I call it California drunken stupor. California drunken stupor has little to do with alcohol, though it's included but
Okay.
not limited to.
Okay.
It's basically you're enjoying the sun, you're enjoying this life, and you're like, okay, I'm supposed to, do the windows now, I'll put it off tomorrow. I got this project coming up now, I'll do it tomorrow morning, this and that. This place makes you the biggest procrastinator. And I've never seen the movie La La Land, but La La Land as a term for itself is just...
Yeah.
And that was me, I don't know, I've been here 3 years, like 2 of my 3 years.
Yeah.
So that's been one of my big challenges here. And then just having a program, a planner. 2:00,
Yeah.
you're supposed to do this. Get there,
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. California people don't help. They don't help. They're fucking late for everything.
Yeah.
They don't have their shit together here.
I'm not late, but I will tell you I like my life. So
Yeah.
when I have a goal and then I go, yeah, but I'm not gonna stop playing volleyball twice a week, and
No.
that takes That's 6 hours. That's
Yeah.
6 hours, like 2 mornings a week, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna stop doing that.
Well, volleyball is for us, and I speak for all three of us in this room, especially for Greg. It's not. Some people like Kelly considers it a hobby, and we have a standing disagreement about this. Volleyball is a way of life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Volleyball is life. I have a video. What does volleyball mean to you? Volleyball is life. Got YouTube playing Beautiful Day in the background. And it allows us, there's certain hobbies or there's certain
Yeah.
things, I'll just say hobby or whatever, but there's certain things that we do in our life that brings a level of comfort to us that allows us to function at our everyday thing for things
And
that
be
we
better.
have to do.
Yeah.
Right? You need to work to eat or whatever, pay
Yeah.
your rent and this and that. But for me, for a long time, it was volleyball. It got in the way of a lot of my projects,
Yeah.
but it's also been my savior. I moved here. I'm a coach.
Totally.
I moved here to coach and commentate.
Yeah.
And here I am. I'm with them.
Yeah.
With just some. I'm here with some wonderful people. I had Casey Jennings. I had Ref Dave Carson talking about
Yeah.
hands. You should see that episode.
Oh, for sure. No, I
58
gotta
minute
catch
58
up.
minute podcast. 40 of it we talked about doubles and carries
Right.
because I think that we want to educate our audience on what's a double and what's a whatever. We as players and coaches need to be more, and refs need to
Yeah.
be more explicit
Okay.
on what's a double and what's a carry.
Yeah.
And different regions have different rules, right? We
Yeah,
can
for sure.
we got
Oh,
a
yeah.
whole
No, you
nother
can-
episode for that.
Yeah.
So so I this California drunken stupor has held me back, but now I'm organized. But volleyball, I
Yeah.
wanted, and you guys want to chime in on how you feel about the sport and what it means to you. I mean, this is
Yeah.
called optionvb.com, so
Okay.
Go for it.
Well, basically for me, I mean, growing up, I didn't even know I was going to play volleyball. Like it was one of those things where I kind of stumbled upon it, and
was it the girls?
no, it was weird. It was like one of those things where like my high school, actually, so middle school, I was doing a lot of orchestra, so I played saxophone, and so that was like my thing, going into high school, and my freshman year we didn't even have a band for some strange reason. I don't even know what, but now I was like, oh, well, what am I gonna do now? So I'm like in PE class, just going through the motions, and then one of the PE teachers is like, hey, someone wants to talk to you, and I was like, okay, and it ended up being the volleyball coach, and it was this guy Ryan Rucheski who ended up becoming my coach for my first year at Westchester, and I remember going to go meet with him, and I ran into one of my childhood buddies, Patrick Dolan. He was like in the class, and I was like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, I'm trying to play volleyball, and I was like, why? Like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, well, I mean, just want to try it out. So then I thought, like, okay, well, if he's here, like, I should just give this a shot. And I ended up, I ended up falling in love with the sport. But at the same time, I was kind of embarrassed because I didn't see there was too many guys playing it, you know. So my whole first year of freshman like high school, I didn't tell my mom I was on the team.
No, because it was like a girl sport, right?
Right, right.
Okay.
So in my head, I'm like, okay, I can't let anyone know this because they're going to start laughing at me. And literally, I had to end up telling her because she realized, she's like, oh, well, you're coming home late, like, you know, constantly. Like, and she feared the worst. So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
in order to save myself,
Yeah.
I got to let her know the truth. I'm playing volleyball.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, well, why didn't you say anything? I was like, oh, I mean, really, like,
they're getting in
That
trouble.
was like the mom's best case. She's like, what?
Yeah.
What? Oh, that's great.
Oh my god.
yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, fast forward, so ended up going, playing all through high school. And then, like, we ended up winning a national, like, or not a national, it was like a city championship.
Yeah.
And it was like 2010 when I graduated, and it was like the first time in like 30 years that we even won.
Nice.
And
I saw some nice, cool highlights of that too.
Yes, and then I ended up getting a phone call to go to Cal State Northridge, and I was like, whoa, wait, I can go to school for this?
Nah.
You know, like
Yeah.
in my head, I knew like, oh, like I want to go to college. I want to do, you know, engineering. Like that was what I wanted to do at the time, and like I was just like trying to figure out how am I going to do it, and then it came to me, and I was like, wow, like I can actually make this a career. And fast forward now, I mean, played overseas. I'm coaching now at Cal State Northridge. You know, it's my second year as a volunteer assistant, and you know, coaching club, and it's been great. You know, I feel like it's one of those things where, you know, you really gotta try something. You know, and if you can, you know, if you find something you really want to do and you put all your effort into it, like good things will come to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. There's definitely something in this room that's in that garbage can that probably smells like fish. I spend a lot of nights here eating dinner.
Yeah.
You see the monitors behind you.
Yeah.
I'm watching sports. I got cable, and then I'm doing my work. I
Yeah.
want to bring my work over there, so it's my little command center. So the cool thing about your story, and Wendy, we're gonna go to you next on what that means. But I got this little, for some reason in my head, because it's a podcast, I have to bring it up. I have a flashback of this movie called The Survivors.
Mm-hmm.
So Walter Matthau and Robin Williams, where they were hiding at a, one of those places where you go out in the woods and you learn how to use guns to protect yourself. So they were basically hiding from someone who was out there trying to kill them. I think they witnessed a murder or whatever. So they retreated to this place. And then Robin Williams, he felt so good about himself. He like called the guy and invited him. Said, anytime you want to come try to kill us, he told him where he was. And then, so basically the guy's leaving, and the guy's wife is like, "Are you having an affair?" You know, because he's this all hours of the night. She doesn't know what he's doing. And he's like, no. He's like, I'm an assassin. He says, I kill people for a living. And he said, there's someone out there that's trying to take my life away from me and put me in jail and take me away from you. And he's like, and I'm going there and I'm going to kill that man. So, baby, no, I'm not out there committing adultery. I'm out there committing murder. And then he like leaves, and she sits there and she goes, thank God.
So that's his volleyball story.
Yeah, because like your mom was like, "Are you out there doing drugs? Are you out there doing this? Are
She
you out
feared
there?"
the worst.
Yeah.
Wendy, what does volleyball mean to you?
You know, I think every kid needs to find something that they're good at. And I was a really shy kid, and I was really young for my class.
Uh-huh.
And I think the first thing that I was tall kid, so they put me in school and said, go ahead, she's tall enough. And luckily, you know, athletically I caught up, and volleyball was the first thing that I was good at, that I showed up and found people I got along with and learned how to work hard. And, you know, it was a time I lived in Fresno. I grew up in Fresno. And we didn't even have a club there until my senior year. So I played 1 year of club volleyball. My senior high school season, I dove in a preseason tournament and tore this ligament. It's called gamekeeper's thumb. So I missed my whole senior season because I had to have that ligament fixed.
Yeah, can't do crap without it.
Yeah, and you need your thumb. So, but you know, stuff like that is what teaches you that you actually really love something.
Mm-hmm.
And until then, you know, you just show up and you go. And I was like, oh wait, I really love this. It's really fun. And, like I said, I was with my high school team this weekend down in Palm Springs. So I have friends from my entire life. And then, when I moved down here, I obviously knew I wanted to get my kids involved. They were just starting to, I had coached them 5th and 6th grade when we lived in Fresno. We moved down here and I knew the opportunities were great. And so I did did a little research and threw them out there and started playing on the beach myself, which for an older body is, I wouldn't touch a hard court anymore. I love the beach. So I started playing, some threes, and then we got to doubles, and now I play in doubles with, a couple times a week. And my best story, and this is kind of what showed me how special volleyball was to me, because obviously I've kept up with the Olympics over the years. I remember watching the London, in the middle of the night, watching Misty and Carrie, and just getting up and, just being so into it. And I was playing down at 2nd Street, and I turned around and I'm like, toss a ball over to the court that's playing over here, because it rolled over to us. And I'm like, gosh, that looks familiar. I'm thinking it's like a mom from school that I know. Or turn back around, go back to serve, and I'm like, that's Misty May.
Oh.
That's not a mom. So, I go back over to her, and we did have a friend in common. I started talking to her in between games, and made the connection. She had done a clinic up in Fresno at one point, and she remembered, because my son was the only boy in the whole clinic. It was all girls, and I took Luke and Lauren, but my son was, and I was like, I was the mom that had the only boy in the clinic. She's like, oh yeah, I remember you. So we talk about volleyball and tell her how great I love watching her. And I come back over to my towel, and I pick up my phone, and I have a text from Carrie Walsh. And I'm like, I'm having an out-of-body experience here. I just finished talking to Misty, and I got a text from Carrie. I'm like, what is this world that I just moved into? Yeah. And she was telling me about this, Law of Attraction podcast that she had been listening to. And she's like, made me think of you, and, talking about parenting and, the kind of, what we attract in this world. And I just said, you know what, this sport has given me so much. And I follow. And then my daughter goes off to play at TCU. And she brings home her friend this past fall break. So she's just been there for, a couple months, and she's got this new friend who's playing on the Spanish national team. So Daniela plays at TCU, and then she just took off and played in the FIVB 3-star in China. Yeah. So she was home visiting.
Kinzu, yeah.
Yeah, and so I, got to know this great 17-year-old kid. And check my Instagram, come to find out Daniela's playing Carrie and Brooke in their first round. I'm like, wow. The way that it all comes back around, and the stories, and just it's such a small world, and it's full of great people, you know what I mean, and hard people. Workers. And so my daughter's now playing at TCU, my son's going to Stanford next year. He's won 2 national JOs championships, 15s and 17s, and I mean, the opportunities it's given them. Yeah, no doubt. So it's family wide. And then my third one's playing at Redondo. So
small freaking world.
It's fun.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you how small my world is. As a player at USC last year, Tina Grudina.
Yeah.
She's from Latvia. And, I come up to her, and, some people are easy to approach and talk to, just like people, and some people they're either just shy, or they're just some people, or they're just that kind of person because they do this one thing well. They think they're like better people, which actually that's a whole subject matter. That's we're gonna jump in and out of that because that's one of our subjects too. So, but she was really sweet, and I said, hey, one of my best friends, my mentor, this guy named Aldous Lucius. Went to UCLA for wrestling, tried out for the men's team. He was like a 4th string setter. Saw no time because Sinjin and Karai were the 2 setters. And I said, one of my mentors, man, kept me thick-skinned, taught me how to be a good coach. And she was like, that's my godfather. So it turns out like my mentor was her godfather. And she, speaking of qualifying or whatever, she Latvia qualified for the Olympics. So she's not. I don't think she's coming back to USC next year. I think she's got to train for the Olympics. Yeah. Dane's gonna be missing her, and I thought that was like really cool because everybody's like, oh, you have less competition, so of course you get to play for your national team. But there's something to be said about winning, not going on points because you're the only team there. Right. No, if you win, you win Tokyo, the Tokyo one. Yeah. That's the same time Hawaii was happening with the AVP.
Oh yes.
But if you win the bid, you won.
You're in.
So go kick rocks.
Yeah.
And that was one of the stories I wanted to share with you that doesn't relate to yours, and it's also a testament to how much beach volleyball has spread internationally. Some big crying and bitching from the West Coast about Stetson beat USA because they have all these foreign players, and I'm like, let me ask you something. Who's your best player on your team? Tina Grudina. I'm like, where's Tina from? Latvia. Just shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up. UCLA. Who's the pair one team? The McNamara's last year. Where are the McNamara's from? Oh, they're from Canada. So I'm just like, pot calling the kettle black much. The same people who are complaining about international players are the ones that are using their international players to represent their Division One. Look at Long Beach State. It's a couple of years ago. Norwegian cat, outside hitter number 4. Yeah, Norway.
Yeah.
And by the way, they have an academy which we can definitely get into.
Really?
Yeah, Mullen Sorum, the best team in the world.
Oh yeah, they're amazing.
21 and 23 years old. There's a high school just for volleyball. That's their gym class.
Yeah.
Morning, night, and you have academics to whatever, but it's basically a volleyball high school. It's the only gym class. That's all they do. They live and breathe in. And he said his brother coming up, Christian Sorum, actually said his brother coming up is better than he is, and that's saying a lot. If you've ever seen them, we could definitely do a YouTube and pull up some of them.
I always wonder when you see that type of a setup, and the only thing I can think of, we have the tennis academy, down in Florida. You see tennis players come up like that, but it takes a special kind of kid, to come through a system like that and still
no doubt
love the game,
Yeah.
And granted, the Norwegians are incredible. Like I love to watch them, but it's interesting because I always go on that, sports is not everything. Sports is like the game of life to me, because most of us aren't going to the pros. But the fact that I'm 44 and still going out and playing, I can play with my kids, and then we're all like, my 6-man team goes out and practices, and we pull our kids out to play against us.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And we can fill a team on the other side of the net. And like, to me, there's just so much of that. The balance of when I'm raising a kid, I'm not raising, a D1 athlete. I'm raising a good human that happens to be good at this or has learned how to work. This is what they're working on. This is kind of their avenue to learn how to work.
Yep. Yeah, I was actually going to ask you to pull up some Mullen Sorum stuff, but that's where I guess we're moving right along. My next subject matter, I wanted to talk about things in volleyball that irk me, and I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a ref, sometimes it's people showing up late, sometimes it's people thinking that they're better than they are. There's a mixture, a whole bunch of stuff. Like me, my whole career was me thinking that I'm better than I was because it made me. It raised the bar and it forced me to play. But we both know that could go another way. So I'll give you an example there, and I won't name names. I mean, for the people in the community, they can actually be like, oh, he's definitely talking about this guy, that guy. There's some people I just talk to as people. Hey, how's it going? Or this or that. And there's some people who just know I'm talking to them like a person. And there's some people that fall in love with their star power so much just because they do this one thing really, really well, better than most, that they assume that they do everything better than the person they're talking to. And then somehow it gives them this kind of,
cachet.
That to working harder, to being more moral.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So some of these cats really rub me the wrong way with that. It's just like I'm a fan of the sport, but I'm not like a fanboy. I'm not. I'm a grown man. I ain't following somebody around. Oh, when you gonna play? Oh, when you when you gonna go to sleep? When you gonna have your next drink? No, I think there's some of these people, and most of them are young, and shamefully, some of them are older. Shamefully, like my age, or what, I'm 50 next year. Shame on you. Shame on you for acting like that. You're a grown man. But it's one of those things where it used to irk me. So, and sometimes it still rubs me the wrong way. But this is one of them things where I just put them in that category and I just move on to the next, because the realization that they're not special kind of stupid. They're a type of person makes me realize that I can't get bent out of shape, because if he's a type of person, there's more than one of them. And that's a long walk back and forth from the Strand to the beach, that you got people that you're going to encounter that you may like or may not like. So And Greg, you know what I'm talking about. Like, there's some people you say what's up and they just kind of do this, put their fist out. Like, I'm just like, wow, okay, how about I give you, maybe I'll give you a smack. Maybe you catch a 3-piece and a soda right now, So we're not pulling that one up either, huh?
Wasted energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
It really is.
So, but Greg, I had this conversation with you, so you kind of know maybe not just the what, but even the who. Like, it really bugs me that people can't just take this one thing and compartmentalize it and just talk to people like mammals.
Yeah.
The nice ones, we name them by name. How about, I'm going to just stay positive on this because that's with the Optimist Journals
there
here.
you go.
John Mayer.
Yeah.
Cool as F.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to say fuck, Duran. Billy Allen. Nick Lucena, I think, is actually pretty chill. Even though sometimes the more popular you are, the more you have these moving parts coming at you, and you're just trying to be nice to everybody, and sometimes you can't. So that's in their defense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I happen.
But some of these cats ain't even do Ash, and I'm like, really?
Well, I think so many times, like if you catch an attitude like that, when you really boil it down, that type of attitude usually comes from some sort of insecurity. You're bluffing, right?
Yeah.
If you're comfortable with yourself, you're nice to people.
Yeah.
And if you're super famous, like everyone is entitled to their space.
Yeah, I ran into Alex Kleiman.
Yeah.
At CVS, I said, hey, love the work you're doing out there, and something to be said about having a whole bunch of points. And she's just like, oh, thank you, and I said, oh, by the way, I got a podcast, maybe when all the dust settles and this and that. And she wasn't interested, but at the same time, she wasn't rude.
Yeah.
She was accommodating. Maybe she's introverted. Maybe I don't. I'll definitely concede I don't.
She
understand
clearly
her.
doesn't know how fun this is.
But no, but it's true. No, but she's an example of someone that maybe not be interested in talking, but at the same time, she wasn't an idiot about it.
Yeah.
So, and she ain't listening to this, and if she is, then that's who you are, and cool.
Yeah.
I've been one of her biggest critics too, so I don't know if she hears some of the stuff I say. As far as her being a finisher, like she's a baller. She's a rough. She's she ain't a rough rider, but she is a true baller.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like when it's every time there's some instances where I feel like it's her trying to reach up and grab what's hers. It's her time, and sometimes it slips through her finger. All the way from college up to this point.
Okay.
Stanford made it to the finals twice. It was actually up on Penn State 2-0.
Those are heartbreakers.
Yeah, and
you
so
never want to be up 2-0
but
and lose.
but you want to have but you get that second opportunity, and it's one of those things where what better stage in the Olympics to overcome that obstacle? It'd be a great story, and that's something I'm definitely going to try to put the podcast in there because it's something like when all the dust settles, I want to be the one to talk to her about that.
Yeah.
I'm the one in the grind right now. I'm not the one that got handed shit and handed interviews. I'm here in the grind. Talk to me.
Absolutely.
Talk to me, Alex. So things that irk you.
I can pretty much agree with what you're saying. I mean, at the same time though, there's a lot of different things that, at least for me, I'm a pretty easygoing person. And when it comes to, I don't consider myself a super famous person, but it's I feel like in Hermosa when I get to walk around, there's a lot of people that I just made friends with and I can talk to and have a conversation with, and it doesn't matter. It could be about anything. And I feel like no matter who you are, you can do that. I feel like especially with these people, the people here, just the people here, not the stars, but everyone's so nice.
But that's what makes you so likable.
Literally, you walk down the Strand and you got people saying, "Oh, hey, good morning."
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Woo, I'm from Brooklyn. What you telling?
It's crazy because it's for me, I'm like, "Oh, wait, do I know you? Did I meet you?" And it's no, I didn't.
No.
But they could just be like, "Yeah, hey, how are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing great." And then to shine light on, we talk about Six Man. We got all types of people there.
Talk about all culture. Talk about a way of life.
Yeah.
And we're all in one spot and we're all having a great time. And, we could say, we're talking about, people who do have that star power and if you saw them in a certain setting and you're trying to have a conversation with them and, they might rub you the wrong way because it seems they're not interested. But at least for me, I can understand that there's certain situations in which they would be okay to have a
Yeah,
conversation.
like a
with
time
you.
and place.
Yeah, time
Yeah.
and place. Like, you know, like, so I keep that in mind if there ever is a moment like that. But
Sure. Yeah.
definitely, like, you know, if someone says they're going to be somewhere at a certain time, you got to be there. And if you can't be there, then you at least let the person know, hey, this is what's going on. I'm running late. Like, there's no way
This
that
guy's awesome with
I
that.
would not, if I can't make it somewhere, I have to
Mm-hmm.
let the person know. I would not just flake.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't understand how people can do that in their right mind.
I can't
And
even-
be okay.
I don't
be
even
okay with
understand
it.
how you're from
Totally.
California.
Like, you could be okay with it, just absolutely not showing up at all. But
Wow.
at least if you had communicated that you weren't going to be there, then okay. Because me
Yeah.
as a coach right now, the biggest thing for me is like I make a practice plan, you know, and then I spend maybe an hour, you know,
Yeah.
let's say
Yeah,
on,
give or
on,
take.
This, on this practice plan, right?
Yeah, give or take.
And I realize that I don't have numbers to run the drills that I want. Now I got to scramble to figure out what we can do with our numbers, right?
Yeah.
Like, say we have drills that are like 6-on-6, and I have like 8 girls that show up.
That
Like,
happens?
oh, I
Well,
mean,
it does happen, but he's speaking very, very hypothetical because it
Yeah.
happens a lot
yeah,
in
it
some
happens.
some programs.
But the biggest
Yeah.
thing is like, you know, there's a lot of these, you know, parents, you know, they have a lot of different plans that they have, like in terms of like, you know, dinner parties, the family members visiting and stuff, and it's like I feel bad me getting mad at these, you know, I can't get mad at the kids, right?
Right.
It's like, it's one thing if they are actually trying to like ditch practice or whatnot, but it's like if the parents are like, oh hey, so and so's not going to be here because of this, and I'm like, well, you got to understand that I understand that this is okay, this is a situation, and if she's not going to be there, he's not going to be there, okay, but just know that you can't be mad at me now when we have a tournament and you're missing before the tournament. Like, I can't put your kid out there
Absolutely.
if they're not in practice going over the stuff that we're trying to run
Yeah.
when we have a tournament, right? Like, I got to be able to reward those people who are working hard in
Yeah.
practice.
Because it's not just coaching; it's life lessons. You know, if you start rewarding people just because
Absolutely.
you know, on some unfounded principle. One of my biggest challenges with you know, I have an indoor club, Evolution, and one of our policies is everyone plays a whole set. So I told Duncan the trial process has to be more tedious then.
Yeah.
You know, because if I'm supposed to trust somebody, where I trust them to put a whole set to not hurt themselves, not hurt the other team, not, you know, and not hurt his teammates.
Right.
They have to be able to show me in practice they could play the whole set.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and depending on the competition, because Evolution right now is taking a huge spike. We just got better coaching. Chafin's is one of
Yeah.
our cool.
Yeah.
He's with our group. Kev Norman.
Yeah.
He's with us now.
Absolutely.
So
and those are
yeah.
great people.
Yeah.
before it was just me. I was carrying the the banner, turning lemons into lemonade. But now, man, everybody it's an all-star cast now, and I'm honored.
That's
But
good
you're
stuff.
right. Running a tight ship, and people keeping their promises and rewarding people for keeping their promises
Right.
is a real thing.
And then another thing to add too is that you talked about like trusting a player, trusting, you know, it's not just, you know, it doesn't come down to just, you know, me as a coach to trust them. Like, their teammates got to be able to trust them.
Yeah.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing, right? You want to build team chemistry,
Yeah.
and like if you have players that aren't showing up
Yeah.
consistently to practice, and they are your go-to players, now your players are worried, like, oh, like how are they supposed to be a leader if they're not going to be here all the time?
It's always
you
made
know?
me a sucky women's coach because of that. Because women usually, they usually win and they come together by camaraderie. Where men's, it's more about who's stepping up and who's leading, and people are following that lead.
Yeah.
Some doctor did some study on that.
Yeah. That
and-
I can. Yeah. That
so
makes sense.
women's aren't, you know, certain women aren't keeping their promises. The fact that the family's
Well-
broken, and I've been for a long time. I've been a terrible women's coach. I just didn't see that.
Well, I've
you
always
know?
been kind of amazed. I've only watched this through the club world, but I'm thinking on the girls' side, you can take a team of, you know, all stars. You know, you can go hand pick. Like, I'm going to put this team together. I'm going to get all the best players. And my daughter played on a team that had really good chemistry.
Yeah.
And we would go out and, you know, play a solid, even match with the team that was all the all-stars.
Right.
You know, and their team that they just really got along. They
Yeah.
got along. They trusted each other.
Yeah.
And I don't remember all the scores and stuff, but I would sit there and just break it down and wonder, this team should be killing them right now. If you just looked at the physical ability, and they didn't.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
but,
two big things.
Yeah, it's that chemistry takes you a long way.
And good coaching helps too.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you're facing an all-star team that,
if you want to be the star, right? If you got 6 girls that want to be the star versus 6 girls that know that they're all working together.
They all have roles.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate team game. And women, it's probably why it's more popular women's than men because they demonstrate it's how much it's a team game.
The rallies are just
The 1 year I played college, I had a guy who got 61 kills. It's still a record, by the way. 61 for 98, 5 errors. Greg Romulus, if you're listening, I love you. And we lost. Less than 4 sets.
Yeah.
And by the way, that was side out, so that's never going to be.
Yeah.
No one's going to reach 61 kills anymore. I mean, side out, you could just trade side outs until someone gets there. Rally, it's, God, even 5 sets. Someone hit 50 over the weekend. UConn.
Oh, really?
From UConn. Yeah, UConn played. It doesn't matter. Yeah. But so things that irk you.
Things that irk me. I mean,
Volleyball.
You hit entitlement. I mean, I think. Coming in thinking you're going to keep your spot if you're not, if you're not showing up every practice and putting it in. Parents who think their kids are better than they are. Sorry, I'm gonna throw that out there.
That you have to. I'm amazed that you were last, and we all 3 of us missed that. Well, I was talking about the pro scene, so. Or
that you can turn your kid into something that you want them to be, and. I mean, I have my 3rd born will tell you all day long, like, I like drama. We play volleyball, Mom. I know I got to play a sport because I want my kids to learn how to be coached and not listen to somebody besides me and, that. But, and she's good. And I sit there and go, oh my gosh, you could be so good. She's happy when she's out there. She goes home. She's like, I'm going to go to NYU and be in the drama program.
There it is. You got to be a drama mama then.
I'm like, I don't know that world, you know, but you do have to let them be them. And I don't believe in, 50 hours of lessons. And I think that talent rises to the top. And, you can lesson a kid to death when they're 14 and it doesn't turn into an NCAA championship, most likely.
Right.
No,
because, I mean, you're talking hundreds of thousands of people and maybe only 16 girls.
Yeah.
Get a ring or whatever, or I don't know, just enough to play each other. Maybe these rosters are now 20 people. UCLA was 24.
Yeah, they're huge now. But
try to divide a scholarship that way.
It's interesting, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So one of the things we wanted to get to, because we're almost at an hour, and I know you got somewhere to be after this.
3:15. And
always respect your schedule, especially a guy who came last minute. I want to touch on this a little bit, and only because I have a female guest, and that's important to me. I think for me to talk about gender equality and to talk about women's issues, be nice more often than not to have a woman speak on that matter, right?
Yeah.
So I want to start it like this, and we can spread it to other sports. I'm a big mixed martial arts fan. Mm-hmm. All right, there's a fighter named Fallon Fox. Fallon Fox is a transgender fighter.
Okay.
He was used to be a guy, now a girl, or however sensitive or insensitive I put that disseminate that information. So that's where I know how. So whoever's got hurt ears, apologies. Right now she's in a women's division at 135, just starching people.
Okay.
Just murking people. So I guess my question is, and I'm totally down for gender equality, like with every occupation. Like for me, if a female firefighter, if the test is to carry a 100 pound or 150 pound person on a ladder or whatever, and if a girl can do that, give it a job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it's an administrative job and it's a tie, hell, tie goes to the woman, right? So tie goes to the black man. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I am all for gender equality for certain sports, but at the same time I have a line. And before you guys opine and get in on this, it's something that is important to me, because for the people that think you have to be completely on one side or completely on the other, the example I just gave you might get pause to cause. Thoughts?
I think that there's two things that come to mind when you talk about gender equality, and I think, or even racial equality. There's always a history that needs to be factored in and honored.
Yeah.
Where we have wronged, and there are ways that we can make amends. We should be doing that.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah.
I also think there's a way to, one, honor our uniqueness. Like, as a woman, I am different than a man. I'm incredibly thankful that I like being a woman. I love that I got to have the kids. I love being the mom.
Yeah.
I don't.
Glad I got a daughter instead of a son. You
Yeah.
kidding?
I mean, I don't. We have to honor, the fact that I'm empathetic and I have a soft side, and doesn't make me not a leader, doesn't make me not be able to do a certain job. But if I don't have the inclination to want to be on the front lines, or if I don't want to carry the fire hose, I'm going to look for what I'm good at. Right? And I think, nobody should be, rather than having an axe to grind, we have to look for where our unique talents lie and go after that with everything we got.
Right.
So, those are, two things that I really, like. When I raise strong girls, I look at my girls and go, there's nothing that you can't do. But I also am a believer, you can have everything, but you can't have it all at once. I think it was Oprah that said that, maybe.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's true. There's only so many hours in a day. You want to do things well. You don't spread yourself too thin. You focus on what you want to do. And, if you want to write books, or you want to do podcasts or play volleyball, or, it's all about setting goals and going after them. I do try to figure out those things in human nature where, I love the stories of people who have come up through harder road, and yet they make the choices that get them to the other side, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
And what is that human factor that makes one person, grind a little harder and make it, versus the other one that, takes the wrong turn and falls to the, the dark side, or, the drugs, all the things that can, victim mentality, right? And I've always had, what I look at, I'm very grateful for the life I've had. So it's hard for me to say, I always want to be sensitive and say, people have had it so much harder than me. I'm always fascinated by those stories, and I want to learn from those stories.
Right.
But,
yeah. Any?
I would say, I agree with, with both you guys, and especially, what you were talking about, you have, the UFC fighter who's just
she's not a UFC fighter, she's
or MMA.
she's
MMA, just legit just destroying people. Or you had
I've seen a match.
There
dude.
was wasn't there
looked like domestic abuse, dude.
Wasn't there a professional runner too?
Yeah.
And that was just destroying the competition, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's okay,
well,
there's a Brazilian volleyball player, trans player that won a professional championship for women.
Is there a scientific method? Because I don't know, but there's so much testing and hormone balances and things like that are different in men than in women, right?
Yes.
So what I know, they used to test this. I remember thinking of the German swimmers a million years ago. When your hormone levels are I think it's pretty clear that we can have higher levels of testosterone that makes you a better athlete.
Yeah, and it's
what.
I don't know, but it's whatever the test is. It determines if someone's maybe meant to be a woman or meant to be a man. It's different, it's different. And then and I think for me personally, it's just knowing that in order to solve the problem, not solve the problem, but just understand it better, just admit that I have one. I'm a little sexist. I just gave you the Fallon Fox example, right? If two dudes, one just this weekend, Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal, big old, for the BMF belt. I mean, these are two rough riders that move the needle so much that Dana, who likes to have their main event be a title, neither one of them have a title. Don't care. Madison Square Garden, boom. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching Nate get beat up and Nate come back from it, and the doctor stops it because he has this ridiculous cut above his eye that might impede his vision. And I think, it was just really whatever. And for me as a guy, I see Nate do that, hurt and beat up. He's a warrior, right? But if I see a woman hurt and beat up, it's I gone all soft. So in that respect, I'm a little bit sexist.
Yeah.
And sexist as a term gets a bad rap sometimes.
Yeah.
Because sexist isn't always it is an innate belief that one is inferior or superior
Yeah.
based on one's sex. So that's the classic definition. But the classic definition has so many freaking layers. And I think sexist as a term gets a bad rep because you can be sexist, but it comes from a protective place.
Yeah.
You're not trying to, I mean, okay, you think that the person's more superior or whatever, but you find yourself caring about one more than the
Right.
other.
Well, there's a difference between sexist and sensitive too.
Yeah.
You know,
And,
if you're feeling a sensitivity towards something. I mean, as a woman, I don't
No.
enjoy MMA. I don't like watching people get beat up.
No,
That's not my thing.
Well, that's
But you know, I'm thinking like on a bigger, not just in sports. Like, have you seen the Ruth Bader Ginsburg movie?
yes.
I took my kids to that movie, and I was like, if you guys want to know how good things get accomplished, watch that family.
Yeah, or
Watch what
whenever
she
you think you're
fought
getting
through.
a bum rap.
What she fought through, but she went home and had this solid community supporting, going out there and just getting pummeled by society and saying you don't belong here, you're not going to make it, and then having to work 10 times harder than the men around her.
Yeah.
But when she went back, it takes a unit, it takes community, whether that's friends, family, takes people that support that unit
Yep.
to push people forward.
Great movie too.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
great.
that was a great movie.
Jeez, I could watch. Man.
That was so good.
The something of sex, right?
Yeah, was it the
I don't know.
on the basis
of sex.
Yeah.
That's what it's
Yeah.
called.
Oh, it's
Hey,
solid.
Look, hey,
Solid.
I know you're an eligible bachelor, okay? You trying to seal the deal with somebody? Watch that movie at home with her, okay?
So good.
Yeah. And for me, the level of sexism I was talking about, like, go no further than the movie Roman Israel, Esquire, Denzel Washington, when he's speaking at an engagement and he's trying to tell people, show people how to know their rights. He was at a community meeting and he's like, hey, why don't you guys let some of the girls sit down or whatever? And one girl just kind of lost her mind and she's like, what do you mean? Well, I didn't ask for the seat. And he says, well, I'm just offering a seat. And she's like, well, it's demeaning. He's like, no, it's polite.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's also sexist. He's like, no, it's polite.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not your enemy, sister. And she's like,
No.
I'm not your sister, asshole. And he's like, and I'm not an asshole, sister. And she's like, fuck you. And I'm just like, okay.
Jeez.
Just you, that one, Yeah.
I'm still all for gentlemen. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah.
chivalry's not dead,
Yeah,
okay?
chivalry's
It
not
smells
dead.
funny a little bit
Yeah.
sometimes, but it's not
no
dead.
chip on this shoulder.
No, and that was but like gender equality in sports, I used MMA as an extreme example. You used who used track and field?
Yeah, you were talking
I
about the
talked
runner.
about that.
Yeah. All right, cool. So,
Well, and people always ask about, men's beach volleyball. People come up to me all the time and go, "Don't you wish that Luke had a team? Like, wouldn't he like to play beach in college?" And I'm like, it's not going to happen. Title IX, and you know what? Title IX's done a lot of great things.
No.
Like,
And if
and football teams are huge,
and
and
if indoor
basketball teams.
men's is the bastard children of NCAA sports,
Yeah.
who by the way should make, come on, 4.5 scholarships. Let these kids make their money. Let these kids make their money and earn their privilege.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you had Fallon on your show too, right?
Oh, I love Fallon. She just won the
She won gold.
Norseca.
She
Yeah.
won gold.
She's won the Norseca
Dominican
in
Republic?
Dominican Republic. Yeah.
Who's her partner?
Corinne Quiggle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where did Quilla go to school?
Pepperdine, I
Pepperdine.
think.
Pepperdine. Young.
Yeah, she's a
cat,
good
right?
little defender. She's fun
She
to
is.
watch.
Fallon played with a bunch of people. She played with Pri this year. She
Yeah.
played with Nicolette Martin, which I thought was a really good partner. But they get, people get dropped. I guess that's just a beach volleyball.
Yeah, I think
mean-
she and Corinne could be a good match.
I mean, I got dropped after getting the team into the main draw. Well, it was business. I mean, they're part of P1440, so they had free coaching versus paying money for me. So it was good. It was business, and a good business in that sense, but bad business in the timing of how it happened. When you got two coaches at an event at the same time, it was a little bit awkward. But but that was cool. I'm actually okay with that. It's just I wanted, some things where you just make a pit stop and when it's done good. It's on your resume. LMU.
Yeah.
I was with them for a year.
Okay.
With John Mayer as the director of operations, and if they wanted to save money to have graduate students do my job, a couple of people, that's business. But and boom, ting, my resume.
Yeah.
I got this team into the main draw, which is good for me because. There's something to say about coaching a team in the main draw. I was working with Rafu a little bit, Rodriguez.
Yeah.
And there's something to say about coaches who have a team already in the draw, and there's something to be said about punching your own ticket. you know, or people don't think you just got the spot because you knew people. No,
Yeah.
you did it the old-fashioned way. You
Mhm.
got in that way.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess that's that. Before
Yeah.
I spin off on this, on too much of this. Wow, look at that. Look at
Timing.
that clock, huh?
Yeah. Goes fast.
Yeah, man, time flies and we're having fun, and fun is exactly what it's been. Wendy Jones.
Yeah.
Wendy Jones and Greg Faulkner. Where you at, man? Or Greg Faulkner, I didn't ask him to pull up too much stuff. That's all right. He's super. We call him the super sub. And for that super sub, Greg Faulkner, and for Wendy Jones, everybody out there, I'm Jason DeBeas. And for episode 11, until the next one, I say, so long. Love all of yous.